The moment she laughed and called him weak, something inside the room seemed to crack, as if an invisible line had been crossed and no one yet realized how badly the night was about to change. What was supposed to be a simple blind date in a softly lit cafe turned into a quiet humiliation, the kind that doesn't shout but sinks deep, settling into the bones and staying there long after the chairs are pushed back and the cups are cleared away. And before you dive into this story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one brave moment can change everything, please like this video, share it with someone who needs it, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from right now, because stories like this connect us across places and lives in ways we don't always expect. His name was Ethan Miller, and he hadn't been on a date in nearly 4 years. Life had narrowed for him after his wife died unexpectedly, leaving him alone with a toddler and a grief so heavy it felt physical. Over time, he learned how to carry it, how to wake up early, pack lunches, braid hair with clumsy fingers, and show up to work even when the nights were sleepless. Strength, for Ethan, had never looked loud or impressive. It looked like staying gentle in a world that kept testing him. When his coworker insisted he try a blind date, swearing that it was time to start living again, Ethan agreed more out of politeness than hope. He put on his best shirt, practiced a smile in the mirror, and reminded himself that even if nothing came of it, at least he had tried. The woman waiting for him was named Vanessa Clark. She was confident, sharp, and clearly used to being admired. From the first few minutes, the imbalance was obvious. She spoke quickly, laughed loudly, and seemed to scan the room as if measuring who mattered and who didn't. Ethan listened more than he spoke, nodding, asking gentle questions, the way he always did. When the conversation turned to work, and then to life, and finally to relationships, something shifted. Vanessa asked why his marriage ended, and when he told her the truth, simply and honestly, her expression flickered with something like discomfort. She leaned back, crossed her arms, and made a careless remark about how men who were too soft often couldn't handle pressure. She joked about how she needed someone strong, someone dominant, someone who wouldn't fold under life's problems. Then she laughed again and looked at him, calling him weak as if it were an amusing observation rather than a wound. The words didn't echo loudly, but they landed hard. Ethan felt heat rise to his face, his chest tightening as old doubts stirred. He had heard versions of this before, whispers from relatives, awkward silences from friends who didn't know how to talk to a widower, assumptions that kindness meant fragility. He tried to respond, to explain that strength came in different forms, but the moment passed quickly, buried under Vanessa's dismissive smile and her sudden interest in her phone. Around them, the cafe continued its soft hum, unaware that something precious was being quietly crushed at a small corner table. What Vanessa didn't notice was the man sitting a few tables away, a broad-shouldered figure with tired eyes and a calm presence. His name was Daniel Reyes, and he was there with his young daughter, Lily, sharing a slice of cake after a long day. Daniel was a single dad too, though his story was different. He had escaped an abusive marriage years earlier, taking Lily with him and rebuilding their life piece by piece. He worked security at night and volunteered at a local community center during the day, teaching kids how to box, not to fight, but to focus, to breathe, to believe in themselves. He had learned, the hard way, what real weakness looked like, and it had nothing to do with gentleness. Daniel hadn't meant to listen, but when Vanessa's laughter cut through the room and he saw Ethan's shoulders tense, something in him stirred. He recognized that posture, the way a person shrinks not because they are small, but because they are tired of defending their worth. At the same time, Lily slipped off her chair and wandered a little too far, nearly bumping into another customer. Daniel stood instinctively, steady and alert, guiding her back with a gentle hand. In that small movement, something else began to unfold. A sudden commotion near the counter drew everyone's attention. A man, visibly agitated, was arguing loudly with the barista, his voice rising, his gestures sharp. The tension in the room thickened as he slammed his hand on the counter, causing Lily to flinch and cling to Daniel's leg. Fear rippled outward, quiet but real. People looked away, unsure whether to intervene or stay silent. Vanessa leaned back in her chair, eyes wide, frozen, her earlier confidence evaporating in the face of unpredictability. Before anyone else moved, Ethan stood up. His heart was racing, his hands trembling slightly, but he stepped forward anyway, placing himself subtly between the angry man and the rest of the room. His voice was calm, steady, not loud, as he spoke in measured tones, acknowledging the man's frustration, suggesting they all take a breath. It was the same voice he used when his child had nightmares, when emotions ran too big and needed space to settle. For a moment it seemed to work, the man hesitating, the room holding its breath. But then the man lashed out verbally again, taking a step forward, and that was when Daniel moved. He didn't rush or shout. He positioned himself beside Ethan, his presence solid, reassuring. Together, without aggression, they formed a quiet barrier, two men standing firm not with fists, but with resolve. Daniel spoke then, his voice low and authoritative, setting clear boundaries, offering help without backing down. The staff called security, and within moments the situation was diffused, the angry man escorted out, the room slowly exhaling. Silence followed, heavy and reflective. Lily hugged Daniel tightly, and he knelt to her level, whispering reassurance. Ethan stood there, adrenaline fading, suddenly aware of his shaking knees. Vanessa watched all of this, her earlier words replaying in her mind with uncomfortable clarity. The man she had dismissed as weak had been the first to stand up, not to dominate, but to protect. The strength she claimed to admire had been right in front of her, quiet and unassuming, and she had mocked it. Ethan returned to the table, his appetite gone, his emotions tangled. Vanessa tried to laugh it off, to say something about how unexpected that was, but the words felt hollow. Ethan saw her differently now too, realizing that this date, painful as it was, had shown him something important. He didn't owe anyone a performance of toughness. His life, his love, his endurance were proof enough. Daniel caught Ethan's eye from across the room and gave a small nod, a gesture of respect between two men who understood each other without words. Later, as they both prepared to leave, Daniel approached Ethan, introducing himself, thanking him for stepping up. They spoke briefly about their kids, about exhaustion and hope, about how the world often misunderstands quiet strength. It wasn't a dramatic friendship beginning, just a simple human connection, but it felt significant, like a reminder that he wasn't alone. Vanessa left soon after, her heels clicking sharply against the floor, her confidence replaced by something closer to introspection. She would later tell friends the date just didn't click, but deep down, a lesson had lodged itself uncomfortably in her chest. In the weeks that followed, Ethan felt different. Not suddenly fearless or transformed, but steadier. He found himself volunteering at his child's school, speaking up a little more at work, allowing himself to be seen. He and Daniel crossed paths again at the community center, their kids playing together, laughter filling the space where pain once lived. Life didn't magically become easy, but it became richer, threaded with connection and self-respect. And if this story has reached something tender inside you, if it reminded you that strength doesn't always roar and that kindness can be the bravest choice of all, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and leave a comment. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who might need them just as much as you did. Before this story ends, I have one special request for you. Please comment the word strength if you believe that being gentle in a hard world is not a weakness, but a quiet kind of courage. Because sometimes, the most powerful moments don't come from proving others wrong, but from standing true to who you are, even when no one expects you to.